During World War II, the Axis powers sought to threaten the Allies' control over the world's most important maritime choke points, the Suez and Panama Canals. These were used to quickly ferry troops and supplies across the different front lines around the world. The Axis came close to the Suez, but they never came close to attacking the Panama Canal. Unless you consider a German sabotage operation planned in 1943, which if successful, could have put the Panama Canal out of use for a year if not longer. However, despite all preparations being completed for this plan, it was cancelled at the last minute. Why? Well, in this video, we'll be looking at what Operation Pelikan was, and why the Germans ultimately decided not to destroy the Panama Canal. Now, as evidenced by the construction of the Atlantic Wall, the Germans were both aware and increasingly concerned of the possibility of a naval invasion, and they would have wanted to disrupt preparations for this by attacking Allied logistics. German U-boats had already been causing chaos in the Atlantic, but a successful attack on the Panama Canal would have forced any redirection of US forces towards Europe, especially any forces that needed to be transferred from the west coast, to either use extra fuel to drive across the country, or, especially if the force was naval, go around South America and add an extra 2 weeks to get to the east coast. This isn't even mentioning the major disruptions to trade and material support such an attack would cause. Now with that said, how did the Germans plan to pull this off? Well, the plan, Operation Pelikan, would involve 2 disassembled Ju-87 Stukas, their pilots and bombs being transported across the Atlantic by 2 U-boats. The Stukas would be unloaded onto a Colombian island near Panama's coast, where crews would reassemble the Stukas and use the island's coast as an ad hoc departure runway. Armed with heavier bombs, the planes would then attack the Gatun Dam. They would target an apparent weak spot in the dam, which was identified to be the dam's spillway. This was because, according to their available intelligence, the spillway lacked anti-air emplacements, something that the Americans defending the canal had recognised after earlier training exercises. Once this spillway was destroyed, the Stukas would retreat and find a neutral nation to land in. Destroying the spillway would mean that the flow of water from Lake Gatun couldn't be controlled, therefore draining the lake and at least severely damaging the canal enough to stop it from being used for several months to a year, if not longer. Apparently, the pilots had been trained and all equipment was seemingly ready to go. All that was needed was an order from High Command to execute the operation, but at the last minute, the operation was aborted. Now, there was no official reason as to why the plan was cancelled, but if we are to go off rumours, then it may have been because the operation was leaked to the Allies by either intercepted communications or a traitor in the German ranks who got word of the operation to the Americans. Whatever it could have been, it was feared that Operation Pelikan was now compromised, therefore there was no point to follow through with it. So, the Germans cancelled the operation, and the Panama Canal was spared.